83% through NFL playoff weekend one. We only have the displaced home game with the Rams hosting, air quotes, the Vikings tonight in Glendale, Arizona, home of the Arizona Cardinals. Well, at least it's a division, home field. Who knows? Too bad. I think the Ram. I don't know. With the Ram, Will Brinson joins us as he does every Monday. Although we have to talk about next week with it being a holiday and I'm not going to be here. We have to do it Tuesday. I'll do that in advance. Do the Rams really have a home field advantage though at SoFi?
I think it depends on the team. With the Chargers and the Rams, it's like if you play the Eagles, you're probably host. Vikings fans, I think, would have showed up pretty good. There's a lot of transplanted Vikings fans. It really just depends on the team. Like if you're drawing, if it's like Rams Panthers, you have a pretty good home field advantage. But like Rams Vikings probably would have been 50-50. I think you can make the case a little bit that they've got some advantage here. They're going to use the visitors' locker room. They go there twice a year. They've been there, once a year, excuse me. They've been there once already this year. The Cardinals are throwing them, doing the good thing and, sent a couple of their jets to help move people as much as possible. And, it's indoors, reasonable facsimile to what they had in SoFi. But, I think if you're a team, like if you got to move Minnesota out of Minnesota to a different spot, that's a much bigger deal than moving the Rams from somewhere else to another stadium relative to the home field crowd advantage. Although the Rams and the Chargers are developing bigger fan bases, it's actually working out okay.
All right. Well, look, I hope we have a good game, and I am rooting for the Rams. I'm rooting for your pick to stay alive, Will Brinson. Let's get to I guess it's breaking news according to ESPN, and I'm sure everywhere else. Mike McCarthy is out in Dallas, which gives us now, once again, with Mike Vrabel hired in New England, it gives us, once again, 6 NFL openings: Jets, Bears, Cowboys, Jaguars, Raiders, and Saints. Is Dallas currently the best available opening?
No. Three. I think it depends. The quarterback situation in Chicago, I think, gives the Bears an advantage. Plus,
except for the organization.
But you got to bully George McCaskey versus dealing with Jerry Jones, who likes to procrastinate everything. If he'd gotten ahead of this Mike McCarthy thing, this didn't have to happen. And you get the sense that McCarthy, probably didn't want to sign back up for whatever type of contract Jerry was going to give him. He's going to be coveted by the Bears and the Saints. Both teams would be very interested in Mike McCarthy. I thought he did a pretty good job in the face of kind of difficult circumstances this year with Dak Prescott going down. I think what's interesting, and I know I got to eat my paper at some point because he got hired, but last weekend the Bill Belichick buzz started circulating. I know Diana Rossini, the Athletic, came out and refuted that. Mike Lombardi got on Jim Rome's show, refuted that. That's all well and good. But Bill Belichick's buyout in Carolina is only $10 million. That is pocket change.
Right.
Not just Bill Belichick, but an NFL owner. And once upon a time, Bill Belichick's mentor, Bill Parcells, took that same job in Dallas and had some pretty good success, even without a quarterback. So I think it'd be an interesting spot for Bill Belichick if he decided that his little foray into college football, which I think is only going to last a year or two at max, because of that buyout, because his desire to catch Don Shula's record. This is kind of the job, right?
Dallas would be the job. Yeah, I agree. I've said this before. I cannot.
Do I have to eat the paper? Do I have to eat the column if Bill Belichick leaves before he coaches a game? That's the question. He got hired. I think that's what I said.
I didn't know you would eat the paper if he left before he coached a game.
I wrote my story on CBSSports.com that if Bill Belichick gets hired by Chapel Hill, I would print out this column and eat it. And I would have already done it, honestly, but I don't have a printer, which makes total
good point.
sense.
We have 3 printers, and none of them are hooked up to my laptop.
Exactly.
Yeah, my wife uses it. I have no idea. My son uses it. I don't print anything. No, he's going to coach UNC this year. I just can't see him. I cannot close my eyes and see this being such a charade. I just can't. I mean,
the buyout is so minimal.
Yeah, it's incredibly minimal. And it's even more minimal after June 1 but it won't get there.
Yeah, I mean, like he would leave before June 1 if he left.
Yeah, of course.
You have free agency in the draft.
Yeah.
Of course.
I just don't see it. I just don't know. I don't know. This late in your career, how do you live that down?
He wrote, "I resign as HC of the NYJ."
Right.
The day he was being introduced with the Jets.
Right.
He's only going to get one more chance, probably.
The circumstance around Belichick and the Jets was that it was written into Parcells' contract that Belichick had to be the hire.
Yeah.
So it was orchestrated without not without Bill's knowing, but Bill never wanted to be the Jets head coach. He never did. He didn't want to work for them.
Isn't it written in the contract that like Steve Belichick is the next Carolina coach? You know?
I mean, maybe, but I have no idea if it is or not. It didn't. The initial contract that I read didn't have that written in a Belichick's contract.
Let me put it this way, because I'm sure that I'll hear from various people about this commentary. My spidey sense, as someone who's covered the NFL for a long time, is that Bill Belichick would do that. Now, simultaneously,
that would be amazing.
My preference, and I'm just being fully transparent here. My preference as an NC State fan is that Bill Belichick does that. But this is not me saying this in some sort of wish-casting behavior. I really think that Belichick's initial discussions with Carolina were primarily designed to drum up NFL interest. He didn't get a whole lot of it, if any of it. The teams that were available prior to today, outside of Jacksonville, who I think made sense for Bill, might not have had any interest. But now that the Cowboys job is open and Jerry Jones, needs to hire a head coach, I think that Bill Belichick as a candidate makes a lot of sense.
Oh, he definitely makes a lot of sense. I just feel like because it's the end of his career, Nick Saban gave the Miami Dolphins 2+ years before bailing on them, right? And then then he rewrote college football history because he was a great coach before going to the Dolphins, but he only had one title.
He won a national title with LSU.
Right, he only had the one. Now, then he rewrote the record book when he went to Alabama and became something that he wasn't even to that point, which was the greatest of all time. I don't see Belichick after going through what we went through with the press conference and all of that in Chapel Hill. I don't see him bailing after a year, before he even gets to year one. I just don't see it. But I'm not saying this is my mistake if he does, because my first inclination, and I admit this freely, is to see the humanity in people, right? And I think it would be a pretty low thing to do if you were Belichick, and I don't think he is that low. But I could be wrong, because I think it would be be an embarrassing personal decision for him.
It would be a bold personal decision. At the end of the day,
I'm not saying bold. I'm saying embarrassing.
Yeah, it would be a little. I don't know what the word is, but I mean, again, I'm not saying he's definitely going to do that.
I'm not saying either. I'm saying he won't, because he doesn't want to publicly embarrass himself. Because I think it would be embarrassing. Can we get to some football games?
Yeah.
All right. Is Mike Tomlin going to add to the job availabilities with a mutual parting of ways in Pittsburgh after that display
No.
Saturday? No. I agree.
No.
I hope he doesn't, but I also, in some ways, hope that he does, kind of for him. They haven't had a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger completed a fully healthy season.
Yeah, Big Ben's, one of the things, Big Ben's 2018, I believe he led the league in passing attempts and yardage. It's pretty clear his arm was going to be, wrecked after that. He looked old. They had a chance to
but he
draft
was
Lamar
broken
Jackson.
when they got to the playoffs. He couldn't move.
Yeah, they had a chance to draft Lamar. They didn't do it. They ended up taking Mason Rudolph in the third round, I believe. Then they kind of panic pulled on Kenny Pickett, when they had their actual chance to draft a quarterback. I think, you got to find the quarterback. That's really the crux of it. You can't Band-Aid it. I think Tomlin believes he can Band-Aid it better than most. At the end of the day, though, the Steelers are very proud about the fact that they've had, three head coaches ever. And I think Tomlin is very proud about the fact that he's, only been the Steelers head coach. I think there's just some familiarity there. I would be really surprised if they moved on. He's never had a losing season. Everybody knows that. I just think Tomlin is going to try to, they're going to try and find a quarterback this offseason. They know they have to do that. We'll see what happens with Arthur Smith and that offense and who's going to run it. They were certainly much better than they'd been, previously under Matt Canada, but they weren't necessarily great.
No,
I just think it's like, let's try to find a quarterback, but I would be very surprised if Tomlin went anywhere.
Well, again, I think he's absolutely going into the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL today, and I think people minimize
the NFL coach.
Yeah, people minimize the fact that he's never had a losing record as though that's such an easy accomplishment. He's been coaching forever. What are we talking about? Like 16, 17 years? He's never had a losing record. It's an insane number of seasons in a row without a losing record. I mean, just 7-9 once. Not. He's been 8-8. He's 8-1. Anyway, let me ask you about Russ, because he had some comments about Russell Wilson after the game, and it was really Russell and the offense. But for me, the decision to take the ball first was bold, I thought, because he knew he had to get ahead of the game.
You had to, if you're going to do that, you've got to you've got to score.
You got to be aggressive, and they weren't. They just ran their normal offense.
Right, exactly. And I think that was sort of, you're playing against a great offense in the Ravens.
We lost him. Oh no, are you back? We lost you for a second.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I don't know what was happening there. I think they really needed just to overall just be way more aggressive than they were as a whole. Like, go for it on every fourth down where you're remotely close, right?
Right.
Don't even consider like punting, especially if you're near anywhere near midfield or really anywhere on the field, honestly, because if you punt, you are giving the Ravens a chance to score and possibly to score quickly. And I think that was sort of the flaw in how they approached this, was not being more aggressive and understanding the situation and understanding the opponent and understanding what happens if you get behind in that game.
Yeah, I did. To me, it was just a contradiction, right? Just running they should have gone for it on fourth down on that first drive, right? Punting the ball to the Ravens, you knew what was going to happen. The Ravens offense at this point is operating at a level because Lamar Jackson is basically healthy, although he did look like he was banged up during the game. But you got Lamar, and Derrick Henry is a freight train. There's just no way for the Steelers to stop them, and there's enough wide receiver, tight end talent to help Lamar out. Bateman's obviously good. They may not have Zay Flowers, but you got both tight ends. I mean, Nelson Aguilar is still a thing in the league. He was supposed to be a thing a long time ago. Wasn't he in Philadelphia with Chip Kelly?
Yeah. He went viral when that guy said he caught the baby from the fire, and he's like, at least I'm not Nelson Aguilar. I think here's where I come down on that game in particular. The Ravens didn't need to come out and run a bunch of read option. and they did it anyway. They ran Lamar a ton. They surprised the Steelers, and it really should have been the other way around. Like, the Steelers should have come out with Justin Fields starting at quarterback and run a bunch of read option or done something unique and something different on offense in order to catch the Steelers off guard. And I just don't think they didn't do it. And I think that was sort of the detriment for them, is that their offense didn't have any surprises for the Ravens, whereas the Ravens completely shocked the Steelers with how they came out on offense and sort of flipped the script on Baltimore by doing so.
How did they not go for it on 4th and a half of football in the first half?
You have to go for that. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
That's like I said. To me, it was a contradiction. The boldness of taking the ball first because you had to get in front of the game, and then acting like it was October 20th. And just a normal game during the regular season, you had to do something extraordinary to beat the Ravens, and they didn't do anything extraordinary. They were very, very ordinary. I think Russell's washed. The pass to Freiermuth, the tight end, on the play previous to that, was a bad throw, and it really caused him to not get the first down. Should have been an easy pickup, and it wasn't. How do you explain the fact that the Commandos can only win playoff games in Tampa once every 20 years?
You really can't, can you? If you're going to explain anything about the Commandos, I guess you just default to Jayden Daniels, who is just
amazing,
unbelievably special. I mean, this guy is the truth.
Yep.
And like somebody on a text thread said today, like, how does Dan Snyder feel right now?
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Well, shout out to Franklin Rouse, the great Franklin Rouse, for that clip. He was. It's like 2 years into Josh Harris's tenure, and you've got a situation where you've got the quarterback, you got the GM, and you got the coach, and that's an owner, right? I mean, that's a pretty good start if you're building a franchise or trying to develop, a winning culture. And I think the Commanders have done that. They've done a very good job of it. And, it's just a testament to, not being Dan Snyder, right?
It is. He was so bad. Dan Snyder was so evil that as soon as he's gone, the Commandos become a lovable franchise. It is right. It is amazing, and I am here for it. My favorite play, you can agree with this or not, your prerogative. My favorite play in the game was the fake handoff, and then he turns casually. He stiff arms 94 for the first down. Whoever 94 is for Tampa, stiff arms him and picks up the first down on his own. He was just so casual with that play.
And he had no chance, really. Like, he shouldn't have had a chance to make that play. It should have been down.
No, 94 should have tackled
the ball back.
Yeah, 94 should have tackled him, but they would have kicked a longer field goal, which was a problem anyway. We had a doink that actually went through. All right, final thing. We got 30 seconds. Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being any game involving Mark Sanchez. 10 being Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. Rate Baltimore at Buffalo in terms of how interested you are.
Oh, it's like Spinal Tap, baby. This thing goes to 11. And by the way, it's on CBS.
Yes, it is.
If you didn't know, you can watch that game.
America's most watched network, I've been told.
That's right. I'm a Blue Bloods and me. And of course, Ravens and Bills. It's going to be an awesome game. I think I saw somebody suggest it's the best matchup ever of 2 quarterbacks in the divisional round, and I don't think that's even a stretch because it's the 2 guys who are the top MVP candidates. It looks like Lamar might win based on the All-Pro votes, but I mean, regardless, it's just these guys are going to be amped up for this game. Spreads like 1.5. Love this matchup.
I can't wait.